Hello friends, welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by The Guild. I am Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. We'll start things off with the latest rumors around the Dallas Cowboys. And first up, is Dallas a top 10 team in the NFL? You guys might not like this, but I'm only going to give it the 1 star. Madden 19 had their team roster ratings leaked, and the Cowboys were actually tied for 8th ahead of several different playoff teams, so that's a bit of a surprise. Now, there was a Madden rep who said the rosters weren't final yet, that it's not quite set in stone, things could still be adjusted. And this may have just been a little leak by Madden to help generate some buzz for their upcoming game. Here's the top 10 here. We'll take it through it. The Eagles at the top spot, not much of a surprise there. Patriots, Falcons, Steelers, Saints. Okay, I get that as the top 5 teams. The Vikings and Jags are not far behind, tied for 6th. And then things kind of got off the rails. Cowboys, Titans, Raiders at 81 overall. And then some other notable teams that Dallas is ranked ahead of. The Rams, which makes 0 sense to me. The Packers, the Panthers, the Niners, even the Chargers. I just don't agree with it at all. Now, maybe Madden will change it. Either way, I'm just going to give it the 1 star. Cowboys could end up being a top 10 team, but I've got them more in the 15 to 14 range, maybe 16th right now, just above average in the NFL. But let me know, where do you guys rank the Cowboys in the NFL? Give me a heart for top 10, a like for the top 15, a laughy face for the top 20, or a wow face if you just hate this Cowboys roster and you think they're worse than a top 20 team in the NFL. Kind of a similar rumor next up here is, will the Cowboys surprise people? And I guess it depends on what your expectations are for the Cowboys. If you think they're a top 10 team, and they're probably not going to surprise you. So I'll give it the 2 stars, and I guess it depends, again, what your expectations are. But Dak Prescott has high expectations this year for the Cowboys, higher than what I think he thinks the rest of the fans and national media have for the Cowboys. He says we're going to plan on surprising a lot of people, and he means in particular the offense, and that there's a lot of new faces, new players within the organization. And the Cowboys offense did undergo a pretty significant overhaul of the roster. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that they surprise people, but my expectations are lower than most. So I guess I could be one of those people that Dak thinks the Cowboys will surprise. Next up, is Terrance Williams not going to be cut by the Dallas Cowboys? I'm going to give it 3 stars. There are several different reporters saying that Williams should make the roster. Dallas Morning News, the Cowboys.com staff, and then Mike Fisher as well, who says the Cowboys currently don't plan on cutting Terrance Williams, even if he's suspended. And it is worth mentioning that Terrance Williams was at Jason Garrett's football camp over the weekend. I think that's a sign that the Cowboys do think they're going to have T. Will on the roster. They wouldn't invite him if they were just waiting for a suspension to cut him. And I get why some of you guys want T. Will gone, but it is worth mentioning, look, the receiving core is very much a gigantic question mark. If he's not suspended, there's no chance he gets cut. Even if he is, the Cowboys, I think, have a role for Terrance Williams because Lance Lenore, Noah Brown, Katie Cannon, said Wilson will include Tavon Austin there as an athlete at halfback and receiver. The receiving core is a gigantic question mark overall, and T. Will, despite his drops and his inability to get out of bounds when it matters in the clutch, he still can contribute to the team as a player. Yeah, he's probably not worth his exact salary, but he can still be at least, I think, a number 4 receiver for the Cowboys. That might be his role this year, even if he is suspended by the Cowboys. But, folks, let me know if you want the Cowboys to cut Terrance Williams or not. I get why some of you do, but I don't think it's the likely outcome as we sit here right now. Next up, are the Cowboys not going to re-sign David Irving? And I'm going to give this one 3 stars as well. It's not quite set in stone. Maybe David Irving ends up signing another cheap 1-year prove-it deal next year. But the reports from the Cowboys' own staff reporters is that the Cowboys don't plan on re-signing Irving at all, and that it might not even been in the plan originally. Now, the Cowboys aren't going to cut David Irving right now either, but I think the Cowboys' current mindset is, you know what? Let's see what we get out of David Irving for 12 games or more if there's a little playoff push, and then they'll figure it out after that. And it's been a rough offseason for David Irving. This was supposed to be his year where he comes in locked in, focused, has a great season, and cashes in a huge payday next year. Instead, there's just another red flag for David Irving with now reportedly missing drug tests and getting suspended for 4 games by the NFL. So it's frustrating for Irving. I get it. I feel for him. And he's made it clear he wants to be a good father for his daughter. But it's not an either-or situation between being a football player and being a dad. The rest of the NFL has figured out how to do both, including several players on the Dallas Cowboys. So Irving has got to get it going. Hopefully he does down the stretch, and the Cowboys get good play for 12 games, and then they reevaluate after that. But let me know what you guys want the Cowboys to do with David Irving. If you're a keep no matter what, if you're a wait and see to see what else happens in the offseason, a laughy face for a trade, and a wow face for a cut. I think you'll see the Cowboys keep David Irving, and maybe just for this year, and then they say, all right, David, thanks for everything. Bye-bye after the season ends. Next up, do the Cowboys trust Ezekiel Elliott? And I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Jerry Jones chimed in recently and said he trusts Ezekiel Elliott as much as he does himself. So I would tend to assume that Jerry Jones trusts himself a lot, and he's not, throwing a dig at himself there. And I do believe it, or I do believe Jerry when he says that, because the Cowboys never put in any of the Dez Bryant rules for Ezekiel Elliott or the Adam Jones rules. They're kind of trusting him to go about and do his own business without having a babysitter / a bodyguard there. And since that suspension, Zeke has stayed clean, haven't been any issues around him, for at least from the NFL's perspective. So it seems like the Cowboys trust Zeke, and hopefully he rewards that trust with a monster season this year for the Cowboys. We'll stick now with the running back section, and is Emmitt Smith not the greatest Cowboys running back of all time? We'll detail that one after word from our sponsor, The Guild. It's totally fake news. NFL.com put out their 11 best players of each NFL team's history because 11 soccer, World Cup, blah, blah, blah. And then they rank Emmitt Smith as the number 2 halfback and number 6 overall, behind Dorsett, who was number 4. Really? That doesn't make any sense to put Dorsett behind Emmitt, or ahead of Emmitt. Dorsett was a great player in his own right, and NFL.com was like, oh, hey, we're trying to give respect to Dorsett, and I get that. But there's a real credible argument, one that I like to make, that Emmitt Smith is the greatest halfback of all time. How is he not the best guy for the Cowboys? I know that Dorsett was really good when he played. Emmitt is the best Cowboys halfback of all time. That's not even a debate. This is absolutely fake news. Bad list, NFL.com. Next up, how about some Earl Thomas trade talk? Is the trade window closing for the Cowboys and ET? I'm only going to give it the 1 star. I disagree here with the Cowboys Wire of USA Today. USA Today says the window is closing for a trade because it has to happen before the Cowboys start training camp, because Thomas needs the training camp to get chemistry going with the rest of the defensive backs. I actually disagree with that. Earl Thomas is a veteran. I think he'll be fine. He'll be able to acclimate. He knows the scheme because it's Chris Richard's scheme, at least a big portion of it. And actually, I think the window for an Earl Thomas trade actually opens up more once training camp starts, especially if the Seahawks and Thomas don't get to a long-term deal by then, and if Earl Thomas holds out of training camp. So I very much disagree with this. I kind of get the mindset behind it. That's why I gave it the 1 star and not fake news. But I think an Earl Thomas trade is still unlikely. But if it's going to happen, I think the next chance actually comes closer to training camp, if not afterwards, because of a potential holdout for Earl Thomas, and if the Seahawks really don't want to pay him the big money, even though I think they can still find a way to get it done. But let me know, folks, should the Cowboys make a big trade for Earl Thomas? Give me a heart for a yes and a wow face for a no. All right, next up, is Dallas going to add a veteran tight end? I am still going to give this one just the 1 star. I'd be surprised, but hey, yeah, it could come true. So the Dallas Morning News published updated 53-man roster projections, and the note in there was that Dallas could sign a veteran tight end, which I was a little bit surprised by, because the Cowboys so far, their current plan, I emphasize current, is that they want to go with the young guys at tight end, that they don't want to go sign a veteran. They want to see what Swaim and Jarwin and Schultz and Rico have at tight end. But I guess if none of those guys step up, then maybe it makes sense to go get a veteran. Here's the issue, at least, of the current free agent crop. It's just not very good. Antonio Gates, I think, is going to go back to L.A., and I'm not sure how much he has left in him anyway. Julius Thomas was not the same guy we saw in Denver. Brent Selk, I don't mind, but he's kind of just a Dalton Schultz type for me. Why not just go with the young guy and see how he develops? Kobe Fleener has gotten paid a lot and not that much production, and he's got some concussion issues. And Anthony Fasano, well, he's 34 years old. I don't think he'll end up with the Cowboys. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it is worth monitoring in camp and the preseason if the tight end struggle. Maybe a more likely option is the Cowboys sign someone who gets cut alongside the 53-man roster trimmed down. One final rumor for you guys. Jimmy Johnson back to the Cowboys as a Ring of Honor member, because no, he's not coming back as the head coach, even though I'm sure some of you still want that to happen. But could he be the next Ring of Honor member? I'll give this one 2 stars. The Cowboys are at least considering it, and it's the reason it's only 2 and not 3. I do think at some point Johnson will get in, because I think he deserves it for sure. But Gil Brandt and Jay Novacek are also in the running here for the Ring of Honor with the Cowboys. That's why it's just the 2. Maybe multiple going at once. And Johnson, no doubt, deserves it. And the relationship between Jimmy and Jerry has improved over the years. But he's not quite locked in as the next guy, even though I think he'll be a guy down the road. So let me know who you think should be the next Cowboy inducted into the Ring of Honor. Is it a Jimmy Johnson? Is it a Gil Brandt? Is it Jay Novacek? Is it Romo or D. Ware? One note on Romo and Ware. It sounds like Jerry wants to get those guys from the 90s in first, then put DeMarcus Ware, Romo, etc. into the Ring of Honor. All right, folks, I am Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. I do have the Xavier Woods film study coming up here for you guys, scouting report and all kinds of stuff. Before we dive into the film itself, some overview here of Xavier Woods himself, and if he can be the impact stud at free safety the Cowboys have been searching for, really since Darren Woodson left. Now, a 6th-round pick in 2017 out of Louisiana Tech. Woods split time at safety and cornerback last year. I have the snap count breakdown to you guys, courtesy of Pro Football Focus. 249 in the slot. Woods' top position last year was actually as a nickel corner, as a slot corner, oftentimes in the dime packages for the Cowboys. That's when he came out the most. At free safety, he played quite a bit as well. At linebacker, 35 total snaps was a big factor there as well. Linebacker, I didn't split up between safety and corner because I wasn't quite sure. I did move the edge rusher into the slot corner, though. Safety at 32, outside was just 8. But for the most part, he was a free safety or a slot corner. So I put emphasis here on the plays that we look at in just a second on the free safety spot, because that's what he's going to play this year for the Cowboys. I tried to avoid some of those slot reps, which, of course, cut down the exact number quite a bit. So we'll start with Xavier Woods in his run stopping, and his tackling here. Of course, the blue circle there indicates Xavier Woods. Here's some work against the Falcons. This is not a great angle. This was a big issue I saw throughout the film study of Xavier Woods. There were times he just didn't take good angles. A little too shallow there, rounded it off. Now, he missed the tackle, but did recover and managed to make it after that. Here, some red zone stuff. We'll show more of this again later on. This is a great play by Xavier Woods. This is a touchdown-saving tackle. Got the first down, but look where Woods is. He goes across the field, takes a good angle, gets to Hooper in time, blows up the play, at least in terms of stopping a touchdown there. Of course, the Falcons would later score on that drive. Now, Woods does make the play here, but there's a little motion I want to point out. Look kind of how he has this little jump stop, almost a pivot there. That's some wasted motion you see quite a bit and gets Woods into trouble. Here's what I thought was a particularly bad angle by Woods. He's got to come in and go towards the ball carrier. It doesn't matter if he's moving away from the ball. You cannot let Corey Clement go towards the end zone here. Now, Byron Jones is the main factor here, but Woods takes himself out of the play by trying to go wide and then cut inside. He should have gone down on a straight line and helped stop some of that forward progress. This was, I thought, one of Woods' best plays, just as an overall play. First off, covered his man well, and then leaves at the right time to stop a Carson Wentz scramble and stop a third down conversion attempt there. So that was a really good play, I thought, by Xavier Woods. Again, I think this is a nice tackle by Woods, but you kind of see that same wasted motion again, where he cuts inside and then cuts back out, and it kind of results in a slower time to get to the ball carrier, but a good play nonetheless by Xavier Woods. And again, this is kind of a common theme for me, some bad angles. He gets out to the 3.5 yard line, but makes the play at the 1.5. That was wasted motion from Woods, not going in a straight line, instead taking angles. This was a really bad angle by Xavier Woods here. We'll slow it down here for you. You see the hole he's got to fill. Go straight down the line, make the play. Instead, he fell for the jump cut and totally took himself out of position, and then LeGarrette Blount gets a few extra yards. This one was just awful for the entire Cowboys unit, and you can see where it went wrong there for Xavier Woods. He bit hard, went crashing down towards the line of scrimmage, and not really at all towards where Jay Ajayi was. A big mistake there. Woods out of position, got to go to the side there, not straight down, ends up being a big gain, although, of course, it wasn't just Xavier Woods' fault there. This, again, some Xavier Woods issues. do not give up the outside. Anthony Brown was the main culprit there, but Xavier Woods has got to stay on the outside there. And then one more here for the Redskins game, which I thought was actually a pretty bad game overall. We'll get back to it later for Xavier Woods. This is just a missed tackle. Now, Woods had a lot of solid tackles this year. I show the missed ones. It's just a bad tackle. That happens to everyone. Football's tough, but not what you want to see. And then trigger warning, this is the Tyreek Hill play. So apologies for that one there. But Xavier Woods, not a surprise, he's a safety. Not the best shedder of blocks there. Ended up being a problem. One more positive note here. It's a really good tackle for Xavier Woods here. Knocks his man out of bounds. A good play there. And then another one here. This was, I thought, one of his better pure tackles against Travis Kelce. First off, a very rare missed Sean Lee tackle, but Xavier Woods is there to finish up the dirty work there and bring down Kelce. You can see Woods there at the bottom of your screen. Good angle, good wrap-up tackle, brought him down. A solid tackle there from Xavier Woods. He's a little bit undersized, and it does show at times, but he's a willing tackler. Take a guy like Byron Jones, for example, who doesn't like playing the run, and it shows at times too. Xavier Woods is much more willing to go lay the lumber and hit, which we'll show here again in just a second, one of those big plays against the Rams. But the big concern for me, the iffy angles, the over-pursuing, I think that might just come with some more reps for Woods, but that little jump start and that little sidestep there I don't like from Woods either. On to his coverage ability, and of course safety matters because he's a safety. Coverage matters there. What surprised me earlier in the year was just how often the Cowboys put Xavier Woods on Larry Fitzgerald. And he actually did a pretty good job there. That was some good man-to-man coverage. This is a good pass breakup on a slot blitz against Arizona. Woods was mostly a nickel corner in this game. Some strong safety looks as well. Again here against Fitzgerald. First off, that was blocking, not a route. That should have been a flag. But a good job coverage there for Xavier Woods. Same here, maybe a little bit deep in the zone, but he chases down, takes out Jermaine Gresham. A good play overall. And this play, I know you guys know, it's Xavier Woods leaping interception. Some good coverage over there at the top. Good adjustment to the ball in midair. Nice diving interception. Those are the ball skills you want to see from Xavier Woods. The issue is we didn't see it a whole lot this year. This play was one of my favorite plays that Woods made. Comes crashing down towards the line, identifies where the ball is going quickly, finds Cooper Kupp, and blows the play. Now, it was a bad throw, to be fair, but that was really a nice coverage and tackle there by Xavier Woods, at least disruption by Xavier Woods. So more coverage here. Again, really good identification. Stops Todd Gurley short of the first down marker. Comes up towards the line of scrimmage, reads where the ball is going almost before Jared Goff does, and blows up the play. This one was not so good. This is kind of one of those trick formations there. Xavier Woods, he misses his man. He forgets about the tight end, and the only reason it's not a big game was because Eli Manning threw a terrible ball. Again, some more plays here from the Giants. Some good and some bad here. First, he finds the crosser, does a great job of that. So this is the good part, but then the turn up field comes, and it's not as good for Xavier Woods. A lot of hand fighting there, kind of slides down. Frankly, was lucky it wasn't a pass interference call. Again, some more Woods coverage here. This was okay because it ended up being a sack, but look at where Woods is relative to his man. If Cousins had managed to escape that, that's a huge play. Woods cannot leave his man to go watch the football and eye chase. This one against the Eagles here, and this was, I thought, maybe the best example of Woods' range. He gets over there in time, and maybe if Anthony Brown hadn't dropped the pick and had let it go through his hands, maybe Woods would have made a nice diving interception like he did against the Falcons, but I like that range that Woods showed on that play. So that's just some of his coverage ability there. I like a lot of what Woods did at free safety, even though I thought he played better at nickel corner overall. He shows solid, but not Earl Thomas range. And as you'll see here in a second, he bites way too often on the play fake. But folks, today's show is brought to you by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com for 15% off your next stay, kind of like a luxury Airbnb. So check them out at stayguild.com. The big flaw that I found with Xavier Woods mainly came in the red zone. That's where I had the most concern. So we'll show you a couple plays here. This again against the Arizona Cardinals. Now this play got called back, but this is just Xavier Woods getting beat by a faster wide receiver. It was just a drag route. He couldn't run it as fast. Now, did come back for Holtz, didn't hurt, but that was not great from Xavier Woods. The good news is he showed some great against Arizona. This is against Larry Fitzgerald, reads the route perfectly, gets down and breaks up the play. And then again, against Larry Fitzgerald, we'll slow it down a lot here for you. That is good coverage. Now, the ball didn't go to Woods on that play, but that was very efficient coverage for Xavier Woods. Shadowed his man well. You got Frazier helping him out there. That was good coverage. Now, some not so good stuff. Xavier Woods here, this was my biggest flaw. this was a good example of it, though. Here was we shattered his man well, didn't let them get behind him. Here, I was just confused because why you're tracking towards the inside, the numbers didn't make sense, but in the end, I blamed that more on the scheme. You can't go 4-on-3 on a screenplay. Didn't make any sense. But some of the issues you had, at least for Xavier Woods, he bit bad on this play fake. And it did end up impacting play because the pass was too high. But look how badly Xavier Woods bites on the play fake. He's done. He was cooked on that play, was out of position, almost cost the Cowboys pretty dearly. And then the other big issue, he let guys get behind him. Here's Xavier Woods. He kind of gets sucked out from the center of the red zone, and it ends up being a touchdown. We'll show it to you again. Woods cannot come towards the left side of the field. His man got behind him. He has to be back up more and play with the depth. Again, some play fakes here. He takes that 2 steps in, and he's cooked. Even against a slower tight end, Xavier Woods bit way too often on the play fake. I'll say it's partially some rawness there, and maybe Damian Wilson should have covered the tight end, but that was an issue. This play, I'm still upset about. This was all on Xavier Woods. We'll give you the quarterback view here. Xavier Woods should have been in perfect position, but look, he drifts to his right, and the screen's left, and it allows a beautiful passing lane for the quarterback, for Kirk Cousins. If Xavier Woods stays in the middle there, he might get a huge interception against Kirk Cousins. Instead, he drifted to the left, followed the quarterback's eyes too much, and got baited into a play. So the red zone was the big flaw that I saw with Xavier Woods in space, mostly in zone. It was either drifting too much to one side, it wasn't deep enough there. Now, it got a little bit better as the year went on, but that was the big red flag for me. The takeaway I mainly saw from Xavier, which I guess makes sense because he's a young kid, the upside is there, and there's plenty of room for growth, but he is still better reacting than he is anticipating. So there is some upside with Xavier Woods. I thought he should have been higher than just a 6th-round pick, but there's a reason why he fell. So there is some upside, some room to develop and have him grow. I don't think he's going to end up being an Earl Thomas type guy. I think he might be a good Kenny Vaccaro, at least the good version of Kenny Vaccaro. So I think he can be the future free safety for the Cowboys, even though I'd still rather have Earl Thomas. But I did like a lot of what I saw out of Xavier Woods. There's some upside. There's some room to develop him and have him be an impact player. And I think by the end of the year, he could very well be the best safety on the Cowboys roster. All right, folks, I'm Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for some more Cowboys coverage. If you missed anything, don't worry. We'll play it again here in just a second. Until then, we'll see you next time.